She wasn't ugly. She wasn't stupid. She was just poor. And in a world obsessed with brands, that was enough to make her a target. Once upon a time, in a small town where people cared more about logos than kindness, there lived a quiet girl named Hannah. Every morning, she slipped into the same oversized brown hoodie and loose, faded jeans. The fabric was worn at the elbows, the cuffs frayed, but it was warm and familiar. One of the few things in her life that hadn't disappeared. Her sneakers were a size too big, passed down from a cousin. The soles were cracked, and when it rained, her socks got wet. As she walked to school, other students rode past on shiny bikes, wearing new jackets and expensive backpacks. Hannah kept her eyes on the sidewalk, silently praying the day would pass without comments. But the school doors were like a gate to another world, and on the other side of it waited the same daily reality. Stares, whispers, and the feeling that she was always being judged. In the hallway, Hannah could feel the eyes on her like tiny needles. Groups of students leaned against lockers, wearing bright, fitted clothes that matched the newest trends online. Next to them, Hannah's hoodie hung like a curtain, making her look smaller than she already was. "She looks homeless," one girl muttered just loud enough for her to hear. Another boy snickered. Maybe her clothes came from the trash. Their friends laughed, and the sound echoed inside Hannah's chest long after she passed them. She pretended not to hear, but her heart heard every syllable. In class, she sat in the back row, hugging her worn-out backpack close. She was smart, so smart that teachers often praised her answers, but no one cared. To them, her grades didn't matter. Her appearance did. She learned an invisible rule. If you wore wrong clothes, people decided you were less. The truth was, Hannah's family was barely surviving. Her mother worked 2 jobs, cleaning offices at night and serving at a small cafe in the mornings. Her father had left years ago, taking with him the last sense of stability they'd had. Money wasn't just tight, it was a constant battle. Every month, bills piled up like enemies at the front door. Hannah knew this in fragments, the way her mother's shoulders drooped after work, the way she carefully folded every grocery receipt, the way she always said, "Maybe next time," whenever Hannah admired something in a store window. So Hannah stopped asking. She accepted the hand-me-downs, the oversized clothes from charities, the shoes with worn-out soles. But acceptance didn't stop the sting of humiliation when classmates pointed at her outfit. It didn't stop the ache of wanting to look normal just once. One evening, Hannah came home to find the house unusually silent. The flicker of the kitchen light spilled into the narrow hallway. From the doorway, she saw her mother sitting at the table, surrounded by papers, envelopes, bills, opened letters. Her shoulders were shaking. Hannah froze. Her mother never cried in front of her. "Mom," she whispered. Her mother quickly wiped her eyes, forcing a smile. "You're home, sweetheart. Did you eat at school?" Hannah pretended not to notice the red in her mother's eyes, but her gaze fell on a bill that hadn't been flipped over yet. In bold letters, she read, "Final notice." Her chest tightened. That night, after her mother went to her second job, Hannah lay awake in bed, staring at the ceiling. Suddenly, the jokes about her clothes weren't just cruel, they were painfully unfair. Her hoodie wasn't ugly, it was proof of her mother's sacrifices. And something inside Hannah quietly, fiercely changed. The next morning, Hannah made a promise to herself. She couldn't buy new clothes. She couldn't magically make her life look like everyone else's. But there was one thing no one could take away from her, her mind. When she arrived at school, the insults still floated in the hallway, but she listened to them differently. Instead of absorbing the words, she observed them. Why are they so focused on me, she wondered. Why does what I wear bother them so much? In class, she opened her notebook with new determination. She wrote every word the teacher said, asked questions she used to keep inside, and stayed after to review topics she didn't fully understand. At home, she searched YouTube for English stories, motivational lessons, and vocabulary videos. Anything that could improve her future. The world that once felt small and suffocating suddenly became bigger, full of possibilities that had nothing to do with clothes. If this story is touching your heart so far, subscribe to English Story Academy for more emotional, life-changing English stories that help you learn and grow. Hannah started building a new routine. Each morning before leaving for school, she stood in front of the cracked bathroom mirror, not to criticize her appearance, but to correct her posture. She rolled her shoulders back, lifted her chin slightly, and reminded herself, your value isn't hanging on a hanger. It's inside your mind. At first, it felt fake, like she was pretending to be someone she wasn't. But slowly, the pretending turned into practice, and the practice turned into habit. She began walking a bit taller. She made eye contact with teachers when they called on her. She even volunteered to read aloud in English class, using the pronunciation she'd been practicing at night. Some students were surprised. The homeless-looking girl had a steady voice, a clear accent, and answers that made the teacher nod in approval. The same students who laughed at her clothes began to glance at her notebook during tests, hoping to copy her work. The more Hannah focused on her mind, the less space she had for their cruelty. She discovered a love for stories, especially ones where the hero started weak and ended strong. She imagined herself as one of them, quietly training while the world underestimated her. During lunch, she stopped sitting in the crowded cafeteria where whispers hunted her. Instead, she found a quiet bench near the library. There, she read books and listened to English audio stories with her old headphones. At first, eating alone felt lonely, like proof that she didn't belong anywhere. But over time, it became peaceful, a space that belonged only to her. Her grades climbed higher. Teachers began to notice. One day, her English teacher pulled her aside and said, Hannah, your writing is powerful. Have you ever thought about joining the speech competition? The idea terrified her, but it also lit a spark of curiosity. Could she really stand in front of everyone and speak? Word spread quickly. Hannah, the quiet girl with the oversized hoodie, had signed up for the school speech contest. Some students laughed. What's she going to talk about? Fashion? Others rolled their eyes. But Hannah wasn't doing it for them. She spent nights crafting her speech about self-worth and respect, about how people judge what they see, not knowing the battles others are fighting. She practiced in her bedroom using a hairbrush as a microphone, stumbling over phrases and repeating them until they felt natural. Her mother sometimes peeked through the door, eyes shining with pride. On the day of the competition, Hannah's knees shook as she walked onto the stage. She still wore the same hoodie, cleaned and carefully ironed. The lights above were bright, almost blinding. She could see the silhouettes of classmates in the audience, some of them already smirking. For a second, she wanted to run. But then she remembered those bills, her mother's tears, and the promise she'd made to herself. Hannah took a deep breath and began her speech. Her voice trembled at first, but with every sentence it grew stronger. She spoke about how people measure others with price tags instead of character. She described a girl who wore wrong clothes and how easily people laughed at her without ever asking why. She didn't say her own name, but everyone knew who she meant. The auditorium grew unusually quiet. Even the ones who used to mock her stayed still, their smirks slowly fading. She ended with a simple line. You don't know someone's story just by looking at their clothes, but your words become part of that story. Choose wisely. When she finished, there was a fragile silence. Then a wave of applause, hesitant at first, then loud and genuine. Hannah's heart pounded, not from fear, but from the shocking realization that people were clapping for her. Hannah didn't win first place. She came second, but something far more important changed. The next day at school, the laughter in the hallway felt different. People still looked at her, but their eyes held something new: respect, curiosity, maybe even guilt. One of the girls who used to whisper about her clothes approached her by the lockers. "Hey," she said awkwardly, looking at the floor. "Your speech was really good." Another boy, who'd once called her homeless, asked if she could help him with his English homework. Hannah felt a swirl of emotions: anger, pride, confusion. Part of her wanted to say no, to push them away the way they had pushed her. But another part of her knew that real strength wasn't about revenge. Real strength was standing firm in who you are without letting bitterness own you. So she nodded and said, "Sure, I can help."
That's the girl who gave the speech.
Months passed and Hannah became the girl everyone watched. Not because of what she wore, but because of the way she carried herself. Her hoodie didn't change. Her shoes were still old, but her eyes held a quiet fire, and her voice carried weight. Teachers recommended her for leadership roles. Younger students looked up to her, and the bullies, the ones who once laughed the loudest, now lowered their voices when she walked by. Some of them were jealous without even understanding why. They had the right clothes, the right image, the brands and the parties. Yet somehow they felt small, standing next to the girl in the wrong clothes who had the right heart. Hannah finally realized the truth. Clothes could cover a body, but they could never hide a weak character or a strong spirit. She went to bed each night not dreaming of new outfits, but of new goals, new books, new chances to grow. The world hadn't become perfect. People still judged, but she no longer needed their approval. She had something better, her own respect. Moral of the story: 1. Your value is not stitched into your clothes. It's built in your character, effort, and courage. 2. People may judge what they see, but real power comes when you choose to grow, even while they laugh. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to English Story Academy for more emotional, life-changing English stories that help you learn English, feel deeply, and become stronger every single day.